In the turmoil of modern life, where every moment demands our attention and every problem threatens to consume us, Stoicism offers a refuge of fortitude, wisdom, and inner serenity. In today's video, you will learn about the greatest power of walking away from adversity. Sometimes taking a step back can bring us greater peace of mind and benefit us. Stoicism has the power to make a real difference in real life here and now. Which things are within our control and which are not? Why is positive thinking not always necessary? And why is it worth thinking about the bad things sometimes? To find out the answers to these questions, join our channel and click on the bell. Now let's move on to Stoicism's teachings on how to navigate life with greater clarity. Let go of the things you cannot control. The Stoics learned to perceive the world and themselves together with all the vast possibilities and limitations that exist. It is not about respecting people just because of their gender, race, or political preferences. It's about accepting people and the world as they are. This doesn't come across as a direct comparison. There are things we cannot control or influence, and things we can influence. The secret to finding inner peace and stability is to focus your attention on the latter instead of the former. The ancient Greek philosopher Epictetus, who was a slave, argues that there is much less dependence on the individual than we tend to think. We are not even in control of our own bodies, possessions, or what those around us say or do. The only things that are truly in our power are our attitudes, thoughts, and opinions. By focusing on uncontrolled approval and the censure of others, we block the creative impulse and potential opportunity for development and experience. Failures beyond our control should not be accepted as a tragedy, but only as a fact. Change your attitude about what's going on. The Stoics also pointed out that we always have the option of not having an opinion. Things that cannot be controlled do not require us to evaluate them or make any judgment at all. The philosopher Seneca wrote that it is not things that torment people, but perceptions of them. Note that from a Stoic perspective, it is not people's words and actions that cause pain, but our internal attitude that what has happened must cause pain. Therefore, we should not blame the external circumstances that supposedly bring us pain, but just stop feeling it. It is only in our authority to change the thought principle that causes us to suffer. This does not mean that we have to convince ourselves that the actions of others are always honorable. It means that it is in our power to increase our resistance to the influences of the world around us that we ourselves see as damaging to our mental comfort. We can still engage in an argument and defend ourselves, but applying Stoic principles will keep our heads cool and calm and protect us from unnecessary stress. The occasional insult will not hit self-esteem or cause us to experience strong negative emotions. Or at least the negative effects will be significantly reduced. The Stoic Advice. The Stoics advised taking any insults as if you were a stone, or responding to them with humor. Massimo Pigliucci advises analyzing initial reactions and restraining yourself from doing rash things. First of all, you should stop and take a deep breath. Walk around the neighborhood, and only then reflect dispassionately on what has happened, writes the American professor. In his opinion, this simple rule can prevent many conflicts and allows a person to feel more confident. Analyze every day of your life. All our senses ought to be trained to endurance. They are naturally long-suffering, if only the mind desists from weakening them. This should be summoned to give an account of itself every day. Sextius had this habit, and when the day was over and he had retired to his nightly rest, he would put these questions to his soul. What bad habit have you cured today? What fault have you resisted? In what respect are you better? Seneca here recommends summarizing at the end of each day, noting what you were able to overcome today and what mistakes you made. For example, Marcus Aurelius kept a philosophical diary in which he recorded everything that happened to him during the day. Seneca advises not to be afraid of mistakes. Look, don't do it from now on. Now, I forgive you. By analyzing your actions, you will be able to understand which of them lead to a positive result and which to failure. Stoic exercise Premeditatio Malorum. The premeditation of evils is another Stoic exercise. Stoics believe that you should think not only about good events, but also about bad ones. By thinking about negative scenarios in advance, you will be better prepared for them. What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. We should project our thoughts ahead of us at every turn and have in mind every possible eventuality instead of only the usual course of events. Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes, wrote Seneca. By doing this exercise, he was always ready for victories and defeats. He was ahead of them. The fragility of things. With regard to whatever objects give you delight, are useful, or are deeply loved, remember to tell yourself of what general nature they are, beginning from the most insignificant things. If, for example, you are fond of a specific ceramic cup, remind yourself that it is only ceramic cups in general of which you are fond. Then, if it breaks, you will not be disturbed. If you kiss your child or your wife, say that you only kiss things which are human, and thus you will not be disturbed if either of them dies, wrote Epictetus about the impermanence of things. The Stoics urged us to remind ourselves of the impermanence of things, as well as that people are mortal. This understanding helps us to appreciate what we have more. The modern popularizer of Stoicism, Massimo Pigliucci, gives us the following example from his own life. After losing his father, he learned about his mother's serious illness. It didn't get any easier for me. Stoicism is not a magic wand. However, I tried to be present at the moment of hic et nunc, here and now. Epictetus calls not for indifference, but, on the contrary, for taking care of what is dear to us, the writer says. Speak to the point. And be silent for the most part, or else make only the most necessary remarks and express these in few words. But rarely, and when occasion requires you to talk, talk indeed, but about no ordinary topics. Do not talk about gladiators, or horse races, or athletes, or things to eat or drink, topics that arise on all occasions. But above all, do not talk about people, either blaming or praising or comparing them. In this phrase, Epictetus urges us not to waste our energies on idle talk and to talk only about important things. We should put our energies in the right direction and help ourselves to disengage from empty things. Massimo Pigliucci wrote that discussing other people is a violation of Stoic virtue. We drop our dignity every time we engage in these conversations. The Stoics did not accept any judgment because we do not have enough knowledge about a person to draw conclusions about them. Marcus Aurelius's key technique. How beautifully Plato put it. Whenever you want to talk about people, It's best to take a bird's-eye view and see everything all at once. Of gatherings, armies, farms, weddings and divorces, births and deaths, noisy courtrooms or silent places, every foreign people, holidays, memorials, markets, all blended together and arranged in a pairing of opposites. Marcus Aurelius often performed an exercise called looking up, or Plato's view. He suggests taking a step back, zooming out, and seeing life from a higher perspective than our own. This exercise, which encompasses all the billions of people, all the armies, farms, weddings and divorces, births and deaths, encourages us to look ahead and, like the previous exercise, reminds us of how small we are. As we conclude our journey through the eternal wisdom of Stoicism, let us remember the advice on deep personal transformation, gaining inner strength, perseverance, and serenity. After all, the basic idea of Stoicism is that our strength lies not in controlling the outside world, but in mastering our own mind and heart. In the crucible of trials, we forge the steel of our character, and in the silence of our own mind, we discover the boundless depths of our strength. If you liked this video and it has motivated you to make changes, don't forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. Write in the comments which of today's Stoic practices you liked the most. Don't miss our new videos to stay up to date with the pillars of Stoicism.